Defining healthy and toxic relationships in media. The toxic relationship I chose is from the movie Girl Interrupted, and the relationship is between Susanna, who is on the left, and Lisa, who is on the right. The first example is manipulation. In this film, Lisa manipulates Susanna by constantly challenging her and pushing her to take part in risky behavior, such as stealing and going against authority figures. The second example is emotional abuse. Lisa would often belittle and insult Susanna, which would make her feel inferior and question her self-worth. The effects of this led Susanna's self-esteem and mental stability to deteriorate. The third example is destructive behavior. Lisa encourages Susanna to engage in self-destructive behaviors such as self-harm and substance abuse instead of supporting her and offering help. Example 4 is jealousy and sabotage. Lisa becomes jealous when Susanna starts to make progress in her treatment. Lisa tries to sabotage Susanna's recovery by downplaying her efforts and making dismissive remarks about therapy and medication. This created a toxic and competitive environment and made it harder for Susanna to fully commit to her treatment. Example 5 is lack of boundaries. The boundaries between Susanna and Lisa were blurred, which led to codependency. They relied so heavily on each other to the point that they enabled each other's negative behavior. The healthy relationship I chose is from the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. The relationship is between Kat, who is on the left, and Patrick, who is on the right. The first example is communication. Throughout this movie, Kat and Patrick engage in open and honest communication, discussing important topics like their thoughts, feelings, and past experiences. This allows them to understand each other better. The second example is mutual respect. Despite their differences, Kat and Patrick respect each other's boundaries and independence. They support each other's interests and passions even if they don't share those same interests. The third example is trust. As their relationship further develops, Kat and Patrick learn to trust each other. This level of trust they develop is created by confiding in one another, sharing personal stories, and relying on each other for support. The fourth example is growth and acceptance. During their relationship, Kat and Patrick challenge each other to grow and become better versions of themselves. They accept each other's flaws and love each other for who they are instead of trying to change one another. And example 5 is forgiveness. When arguments or conflicts arise, Kat and Patrick try to apologize and forgive each other. They understand that making mistakes is a part of relationships and that they need to work through their issues together. Relation to realism and stereotypes. In the movie Girl Interrupted, in relation to realism, the dynamic between Susanna and Lisa reflects real-life codependent friendships. Their relationship shows how mental health issues can affect relationships, and the intensity of the bond between Susanna and Lisa fluctuates, which is something many people can relate to. In relation to stereotypes, Lisa's character demonstrates the stereotype of the rebellious patient in psychiatric narratives that are often portrayed in media, and this film portrays Susanna as a troubled teen, which can oversimplify the complexity of mental health issues. In the movie 10 Things I Hate About You, in relation to realism, the transformation of Kat and Patrick's relationship from dislike to love is a common experience some people go through. Their relationship shows the true complexity of teenage relationships, and this film addresses real-life teen issues such as peer pressure and the desire to fit in. In relation to stereotypes, this film demonstrates the trope of the bad boy falls for the fierce-tempered girl. The bet plot of this film is a common rom-com stereotype. Identifying healthy versus toxic relationships. Healthy relationships often portray characteristics of respect, trust, support, and responsiveness. A healthy relationship is a positive and uplifting environment that allows each individual to thrive and grow. Toxic relationships often portray characteristics of disrespect, control, manipulation, and a lack of trust. There could also be forms of narcissism or psychopathy. Some other characteristics of a toxic relationship are lying and deception. The influence of media on healthy versus toxic relationships. In healthy relationships, media models how relationships should work, showing communication styles, conflict resolution, and expression of love, and many people may adopt these behaviors in their own relationships. Inclusive representations in media can validate different types of relationships, contributing to more accepting societal attitudes towards relationship dynamics. Social media allows for people to share their experiences and opinions about relationships, which can create a positive space for discussing healthy relationship dynamics. In toxic relationships, media can influence stereotypes about gender roles and power dynamics. This may influence people's ideas of what is normal, which can lead to unhealthy dynamics. Media sometimes portrays conflict in toxic relationships being resolved quickly, which may not reflect real-life experiences. This can cause viewers to have unrealistic expectations about how conflict should be resolved in relationships. Media's effect on society's expectations and norms. The media can form stereotypes which can influence how people perceive others and themselves. The media can normalize certain behaviors and attitudes, which can influence a person's beliefs of what is appropriate for certain situations. Since children are especially susceptible to media influences, media can shape their beliefs and values. This can influence their perception of gender roles, relationships, etc. The media can reinforce cultural values and norms, which can limit exposure to diverse experiences. Media's influence on expectations in a relationship. Media portrayals can influence people's expectations in a relationship in many ways. Some of these include quick conflict resolution, idealized romance, lack of realism, dramatic gestures, and gender roles. Media's contribution to interpersonal relationships. Media can positively contribute to interpersonal relationships by educating viewers about the warning signs of toxic or abusive relationships, showing diverse and inclusive relationships, portraying open and honest communication, and demonstrating effective conflict resolution, featuring characters who demonstrate kindness, empathy, and understanding, which can inspire viewers to copy these actions, and raising awareness for the importance of mental health in relationships and how to support each other's mental health.